So I'm sure most of you are aware that Ruth Darth Vader Ginsburg has left our mortal coil, and with her passing, has as if the country didn't seem chaotic enough, um, it's gotten even more chaotic with the left immediately going crazy because they're worried about Roe versus Wade. Um, in fairness to them, they probably have reason to be worried about it, but it just brings to mind, what is this that is so important? Abortion. Why does it cause this split? Why can there not be a compromise of some sort on it as far as the left is concerned? Why do they go crazy over it? Why do they protect it so? Um, this video, I intend to be, I guess, part three of the Democrat, or the part three of Christians voting Democrat, and I'm going to hone in on abortion. I did that. I talked about abortion in the first video, but I want to really kind of focus in on it. So it's interesting to me because you remember back in the day, abortion seemed to be a um, how would you refer to it? I would say it's just it used to be talked about in hushed terms. Even the proponents of it um, looked at it, or seemed to look at it, as a necessary evil. They didn't like it, but they justified it. Coat hangers and back alleys and this sort of stuff. Um, even when they were made to discuss it or felt compelled to deal with it, um, it wasn't you know it wasn't in terms of killing a baby. It was in terms of a woman's decision, a woman's health choice, a private conversation between a woman and her doctor. That was typically the way it used to be talked about it. Have you noticed that's changed? Now we've got people shouting their abortions, um, counting them, seemingly proud of the number of abortions that they have had. Um, you know, it's interesting because even the way that the title of the political group, pro-choice, denotes this subterfuge, right? They're not they're not coming out and saying what they're for. It's just some choice that they are for. It's just an interesting thing. It's an interesting semantic tool, a choice of rhetoric, I guess. Because you can always find the flaw in that, the inconsistency, because most of the people who promote a parent's right to choose to kill the child avoid them being able to choose which school they can go to. So, it's not this unfettered choice stuff that they care about, right? It's abortion, but even in this idea of calling it choice, is embedded in that the shame of it. They don't even, and even this shout your abortion uh, type stuff is an overreaction the other direction, right? It's it's not an even keeled logical explanation of why abortion isn't what you think it is or anything like that. It's these dramatic clandestine kind of thing, or this ridiculous um, over exaggeration of how dare you, me, I'm proud, this sort of nonsense. um, I mean, it wouldn't, it's this idea, right? Like a choice. What does that even mean? It's like, um, it's like they're talking about it in terms like uh, being looking at a menu at a drive-through. What do you want? Do you want the salad, or do you want the double quarter pounder with cheese? Um, do you want to do what humans do and begin this process of rearing and bringing up a human and nurturing a human being, or would you like to execute it? It's just this cold thing, and I think we all know this. I mean, don't we all really know what this is? Um, it's just an interesting thing, because I mean, you couldn't do that in a court of law, right? You couldn't say, "But Your Honor, I chose to kill the person," and they go, "Oh, you know, okay, so it wasn't an accident. You chose to do it, so that means it's fine." And so it's this weird thing about abortion, and somehow it's just there, and we just don't think about it, like how crazy it really is, because we've just gotten used to it. Um, you know, the other thing is that this, how could you justify it? I guess you could say, well, it's not a baby, right? That was the next thing. Well, I mean, it's really not a baby. You know, we don't talk about it, but it's not even a baby when you really want to get down to it. Um, I think we all know that's not true. I mean, don't we? Um, science aside, right? I mean, you do the deed, and a pregnancy occurs. Somewhere around 9 months later, there's going to be a baby, right? Um, this is just. I mean, if there are things, people argue that there are things in the past we didn't know, and how we know so much more now. And okay, maybe. Um, but we've always known this. I mean, this is how we all got here. The idea that this is something we're confused about is, come on now. Let's not be dishonest about it. You're killing a baby. Um, maybe in very extreme cases, if it's the mother's life over the child, I could see a scenario like that. But when it's got to the point where we're doing this in clinics, right? That's another thing too. It's not a hospital thing, right? You don't go in and go, "Oh, it's an appendectomy. Let's emergency. Let's get the appendix out," right? No, you go, "Let's make an appointment." You do it at your. Are you sure? It's this whole thing, and it's like, um, you have to have specialized people who only really, do that. Yeah, I think it's one of the worst things that we've got going on in our society. And the idea of this, sort of hushed tones and this sort of stuff, it continues at the clinic, doesn't it? I mean, is it really a baby? Isn't that one of the questions that's asked? And the answer used to always be no, no, it's an embryo. I think I read somewhere embryo was like the Latin word for baby, but I don't know. Don't hold me to that. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you know, if you go, oh well, it's not a baby yet. I mean, how do you define that? it seems rather arbitrary to me to say, I mean, when does that happen exactly? We can't pinpoint that, right? And science does show us now, the heartbeat, blood circulation, eyes blinking, uh, fingers, thumb suck, all that stuff happens really early. Um, it's a baby. It's a baby. Um, and I think Ruth Darth Bader Ginsburg. Uh, I know people. I started out that way, and it may sound disrespectful, but plenty of people are respecting her. And I'm not meaning to be disrespectful to her family, but I kind of get annoyed a little bit when people that are famous get these big deals made about them when they die, and there are these people. We have this whole thrust of fairness in our society, right? And here, just somebody whose whole uh, persona, reputation is tied up in this idea of killing babies. Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's hard for me to uh, to 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 be too sympathetic for the situation. And again, people die all the time. Good people, and nobody knows about them, and nobody's giving memorials and saying kind words all over the nation for them, but they are for her. And so it's like I don't have a problem with somebody saying kind words, but I'm not going to necessarily. I'm not going to say something that I don't believe to be true. Um, and I say Darth Vader because I mean Darth Vader killed kids, right? I mean everyone saw the movie, right? That's what made him Darth Vader, right? So and I mean that was her reputation, and you can't hide from it. I mean you can't build your reputation on it and then pretend that that wasn't part of it, especially when everybody's going crazy because oh no, we might lose the ability to kill children. Um, And so, one of the things that we're often told too is that it's the mother's body, right? And come on, let's be serious here. I'm not saying we shouldn't have sympathy for the birthing process. I mean, I've seen it up close. It's a miracle. It's amazing, and what women go through is incredible. But um, that's not their body. It's just not. I mean, um, it's different DNA. A female when they're pregnant, they all of a sudden get two heads and four arms and four legs and two hearts. I mean, come on, this is a totally different person. So, at best, maybe you could say you're talking about a property dispute, right? But then that brings in what about the dad? You know, it, we all know how this works. It takes two to tango. Notice the dads are really ever brought into the scenario in this way. The idea that the dad has some kind of right. Um, no, it's just the woman's body. Um, the dads have no right, and the the thing too about this is the idea that it's the men are when they're brought up, it's usually on this idea of excusing and justifying abortion by saying, well, rape takes place. What about those women that are raped? And it's a difficult question. I mean, it certainly is. um, but the problem is that where are the prosecutions? This is the thing that absolutely baffles me. If you're going to say it's such a moral injustice to allow a woman to carry the child of a rapist, and I get it, but then nothing's done about it to catch the guy. Where's the crime? There's DNA involved here. Are we taking DNA tests? Are we going after these guys? What if they're just raping a bunch of women? Nobody cares? You know, I think that's a problem. Um, that's the other thing about abortion clinics is that they cover up crimes. They cover up crimes of men and women, but a lot of times men. This idea that it's this womanly thing, like we're protecting this pro woman institution is just uh, it's I'm trying to think of a harsh term to talk about it, and that it's just on its face illogical, right? Because first of all, at least half of the people killed are women, female. Um, the trauma that a woman goes, it's a pretty legitimate procedure. Physical issues, mental issues. Nobody talks about that stuff. Um, and this idea that it's just you know uh, some sort of paragon of womanly virtue is insane. It's not. It's not. Some woman has been impregnated by somebody in a situation that isn't good. When is that ever a good thing? Even if it was consensual, it it wasn't the right kind of consensual, was it? I mean, that's just straight straight away right there. So, um, the other thing that I think needs to be talked about is that this is a product of the fact that we're a sex obsessed society. Let's be real about this. This is an additional form of birth control. That's what this is. Um, we have birth control, um, but the truth is that um, we need, we're willing to kill children as this secondary birth control. And what does that say about us? It says we're so sex obsessed that we would kill children because we want the pleasure without the responsibility. I mean, let's be real. That's really what we're talking about. This whole thing is like it leads to another thing that's in the news too because it's not in the news, not like it should be. Um, there's busts for child trafficking going on right now. Um, Ohio, Georgia, media is not talking about it. Everybody knows they're seeing this stuff now in ways that they didn't used to. This idea that children are being sexually exploited. And the reason why I bring that up is it's it's connected. It's absolutely connected. If we're willing as a society to kill children because we want to protect our free sex, casual sex without responsibility, then that means we choose sex over children, right? That's what it means. So it's not a huge jump to go, well, why wouldn't why wouldn't you use sex for or children for sex? I mean, the same people. I mean, how's that a different? That's the same group, right? I mean, I'm not saying people who commit abortions are that way, but I'm saying the justification, the societal justification. I mean, what are we doing? We're doing the same thing. The welfare of the child is completely irrelevant. What matters is our sexual gratification. In both things, this is true. In both things, this is true. So don't say this isn't a moral issue. And people are just so flippant in their, you know, uh, political talk about abortion as if it's just some, you know, just another issue. It's not another issue. It touches everything, because you're not going to tell me that you're a politician who cares about people when you're for killing people. You know, it's the same as, the left would feel this way. And this should be something we all agree on. And it's amazing how it changes sometimes when it comes to war. These ridiculous wars that our country tends to go on for no reason, killing people indiscriminately for some weird reason, some justification. We morally at times will, uh, condemn that, but then we just kill little babies like nobody's business, you know, and then the same politicians are the ones making this decision, right? Um, and it doesn't matter when, right? It doesn't matter the number. It doesn't matter how many, or it doesn't matter what age, what term, where in the term they are. I mean, not only does none of that matter, so adamant are they that not only do they protect the right to do it, they demand that it's funded by the taxpayer. So this egregious immoral act is now funded by everybody. We all participate in abortion in that way. And that's disgusting. It's disgusting that politicians have been allowed to do this, and it's a moral stain on our nation. And so it's not just about abortion, it's about what this means about who we are as a people. That we tolerate this, that we justify it. And Christians, you can't vote Democrat. They promote this, they protect this, they fund this. They're for killing children. And nobody should be supporting that, especially not Christians.